recording. Okay, yes. Hello and welcome to Tales from the Gutter. I'm Mikki.
I'm Blake.
And I'm currently looking at a very silly photo of Tim Conway.
Yeah, that's fun that's the default photo of Tim Conway.
That's a very apt photo of Tim Conway. I love his little, far too small cowboy hat.
He's got a pretty teeny sheriff's badge too when you get down to it. That's kind of great. Everything's slightly in miniature.
It's kind of just perfect. Not perfect, however, are the topics of today. We are talking about frauds, fakes, and forgeries.
On which show?
On Tales from the Gutter! Okay. Okay.
Frauds, fakes, and foibles? What?
Forgeries.
Forgeries, okay.
Fakes. Crap that are not real. Things that are pretend, but
Psychics.
not for fun. Psychics.
I fucking hate psychics.
Actually, the first one involves a psychic.
Yes! This is great. I am always happy to have an opportunity to hate on psychics.
Alright, so these are kind of in chronological order, and they start 2,500 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So, once upon a time in Attica, which is the area around Athens.
The furniture store part of Athens.
The furniture store part of Athens. That's a very local joke.
Also the port, I think.
Also, Athens, the restaurant, which is just fantastic.
No, now you've gone hyper-local.
No, there is no such thing.
That's actually probably more well-known than Attica by a wide margin, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know people who've actually bought things at Athens.
Yeah, people in Sydney are like, fuck you, when they heard me slag off Athens. Yeah, that person in Sydney who listens to our show.
That one person. Hello, Sydney, not the big one.
Say hi to Grace Bay.
Okay, hold on, I gotta pronounce this word now. Onomacritus was a recorder of the Oracle of Musaeus. Minneapolis. Anyway, so in the past, of course, you had people who claimed that they had visions and they were prophets and everything. But in ancient Greece, all that was taken very seriously. Incredibly seriously. And so there was this oracle of Musaeus, who was a guy in Athens. He was a polymath. He did a little bit of everything, but he also had visions of the future. He was supposed to be the son of Orpheus, who was kind of like big on visions and shit.
That's why they named movie theaters after him.
Yeah. There we go. Anyway, so this guy's job was to follow him around, and whenever he crapped out some confusing shit, write it down, put it in the book. It's an official prophecy. And that's like a state, a registry of prophecies.
These now, see, why don't we have that anymore?
Because the Greeks drove themselves insane following prophecies.
We're not doing great, you know.
We're not doing great, but we
what
have
do we
other
have to
reasons
lose? Or at least writing these
do the
things
same
down.
insane shit.
Walk through the streets, talking to raving lunatics.
Anyway.
Write it down.
Write it down.
One of them might be a new, not Orpheus, but the other guy.
But
you know, that guy from Mussolini. Minneapolis.
Anyway, this guy's the first recorded, or at least known at the moment, forger, because he found that he could make a bit on the side by simply inventing prophecies, attributing them to the prophet, Musaeus, and then putting them in the book. And then people would either profit because you take these prophecies very seriously. If someone said, this person will become a king, that person will probably become a king just because everyone will be like, that guy's supposed to become a king.
Okay, so he's like, Joe Blow's business will become a huge success. Invest today.
Exactly. And he got discovered and was ostracized officially from Athens, which is when everyone comes together and votes to kick you the fuck out for 7 years.
That's
and you're
great.
not allowed to come back or they'll kill you. He went to the court of Xerxes the First.
Persia?
Yes, and told them to invade. And that's how 300 happened. Because he was pissed that he got tossed out of Athens.
That's great.
For being a con man.
entrepreneur and rightfully pissed. Like, seriously. If you're gonna be the kind of civilization that writes your prophecies down in a government book and takes it all completely seriously, then you deserve that kind of entrepreneurial moxie. Should be rewarded. Otherwise, you'll get invaded by Xerxes.
And while you will, in the end, win, that'll mostly be because Xerxes got bored of you. That's actually how they won that war. Xerxes was just like, why the fuck do I care about Greeks?
Yeah, bored now?
I'm bored now. These people suck. Going back to Babylon. My whores.
Really, given the option?
I mean, come on.
Fight
Speaking
a
of
war,
whores,
whores.
Rome! 3rd century! 3rd century CE. And Septimius. He was never found. He was never captured. This is a claim, a name that is on a story.
Okay.
This guy named Septimius claimed that he had a personal eyewitness account of the Trojan War by a Dictes of Crete. And to Dictes of Crete. Dictes of Crete.
Please welcome to the stage, Dictes of Crete.
Leap them bows. And the most important thing about his story, because a lot of people had these fake accounts going around at the time, but he had a story about how it was discovered, and it was all the rage because it was so exciting. So there was this earthquake on Crete, which happens constantly. There essentially some part of Crete is always shaking and falling apart.
That's why it's like home to the Atlantis.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
The city fell into the sea. It's like, again? Davey, you should stop moving now.
And with this particular earthquake, the secret tomb of Dictes was unearthed.
That's where the stage is we talked about earlier. That's a nightclub. What's that name again?
The secret tomb of Dictes.
Damn right.
Oh.
Tell your cavity to take you there.
So he claimed that was discovered by a local shepherd on Crete. Like, within the tomb.
It's always a fucking shepherd.
I know, right?
Always
they're just
shepherd.
out there wandering, and they have literally nothing to do except stare at sheep and not fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
So, the mind
That's where the name Dictes came from.
There you go, Dictes!
That was his favorite
That was
sheep.
the name of the sheep, yeah. He claimed in the story that the shepherd then went and found the Roman governor of Crete, and he named very specifically the actual Roman governor at the time. Now, playing fast and loose with someone else with Roman power's name like that, there's a reason he wasn't in Crete at the time when he said this, and there's a reason why the Romans were looking for him. Because it was claimed that this Roman governor, very real person, verified the story and like the true account, took it to the Emperor Nero himself, and Nero happened to hand it to Septimius.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and
no
that's
half
how he
measures.
got this book.
You invoke the emperor himself.
Exactly, and
That's
you're not
great.
going to question Nero, are you?
You should have at least said you stole it from the emperor, because then it's like, oh my god, I'm aghast you would confess such a thing to me. But it must be real!
It must be true.
Fascinating. Where instead it's like, and then he gave it to me, for it was Hanukkah.
Yeah, it was Hanukkah, and Nero was all...
And apparently I am circumcised, Dictes.
How do you pronounce that?
It's pronounced Chanukah.
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 Anyway, so yeah, it was expected that he would have been killed, and perhaps he was, because he falls out of the record. And the Romans do like to throttle themselves a political prisoner.
Okay.
Yes.
Did not know that about the Romans.
Very specifically. So, in European history, like how you get killed actually reflects your class and status.
And country.
And
Not every country throws you out a window every few years.
Exactly.
Talking to you, Czech Republic. Or Czechia.
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 It does not have a ring to it.
It really doesn't.
Where are you from? Czechia.
Czechia.
Ooh.
I am checking you. What?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Check yourself.
Wait.
Yeah, check yourself in, because I love Czechs, because they throw people out windows if you don't love them, and that's great. Seriously.
We will get to that at some point.
Defenestrations of Prague, that's plural?
The Defenestrations of Prague.
Plural.
I think I
Love
have
it.
an idea for my new history show. I'm going to steal that for an episode.
Oh.
The Defenestrations of Prague.
I will happily come and talk about that.
Oh, we're going to make
great.
it good.
Okay.
I got a green screen and a full studio setup.
What?
And it's portable, so we can go stupid.
Oh, us in like HD? That's going to be terrifying. I love it.
Actually, us in 4K. Better than HD.
Oh, God. Call me when we're in 4D, traveling through time.
Okay, yeah, so executions based on class and status. Hanging is for criminals.
Yeah, fair.
Beheading is for...
Treason.
No, higher class people. Anyone who is high class. Nobles, nobility, royals, and foreign diplomats.
No suffering, very quick, just off with their head.
Exactly. So if you commit treason but you're a lowborn, you're still going to be fucking hung.
Or drawn and quartered.
Or no, the drawing and quartering is specifically for political leaders.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That discourages
exactly
active engagement in society.
That's why it's so terrible, because it's literally it's not like we're punishing this guy. It's we're punishing everyone who follows this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And throttling, at least in Italy, was how you remove political prisoners. And it was seen as kind of a sacrifice to the gods of this person. It's a human sacrifice.
Are you talking throttling like actually with your bare hands or like?
Usually with a garrote.
Oh, like a stringy thing, like a rope, small rope thing.
Like a leather thong.
Okay.
Yeah. But specifically, they engineered a post. So you'd be tied to the post, and the leather garrote would like loop around and back into the post, and you could tighten it with a wheel, and it would choke the person. So like you never actually had to touch them.
You could slowly choke a person too.
Oh yeah, no, like during triumphs, if you had any political prisoners, you would always tie them to the stake and roll them through the city. And they'd be like slowly... They wouldn't choke to death during the procession, but you'd be like... It would be tight on them. And then at the end, you'd choke them to death. Either in front of everyone or in private. Caesar had marched the leader of the Gauls. Yeah, he marched the leader of the Gauls through on one of his triumphs. And at the very end of it, like, he was tied naked to a pole. And Caesar was like... in gold and purple, and he had a red face because he's supposed to represent Jupiter.
Okay. I'm still thinking in my head about the last time I was tied naked to a pole. But...
And then at the end of the parade, they just kind of like took him into a room and like strangled him and threw his body in the river.
At least they had the common decency to do it in private, not before a cheering crowd of plebs.
Yeah, we hadn't reached that part of Rome yet.
It's coming, don't worry.
Oh yes.
Yay.
It's coming. We take a bit of a jump now.
I was going to say, but back to the past.
Back to the past. So, 1752, a man named Thomas Chatterton is born.
Thomas Chatterton.
Such a name. And he became, at the time, one of the most prolific fakers of medieval documents. He would fake heraldry. He would fake official proclamations. He would fake anything, and he was good at it. And here's the thing about medieval documents.
I was wondering.
Yeah, most of these are enlightened documents, which means that they've been given all
Margins
those
are all
details.
gilded and
right? Takes forever. He produced hundreds before he was 17, and the best. So much so that he's still well known. And then he killed himself.
Why? Or did he?
No, he killed himself because he tried to get rich, and none of the fame or money came during his life. He drops dead, and people are like, "Holy shit! Have you seen this kid's work?"
Oh God, that's so sad.
So like his forgeries are best known for being forgery, like knowingly having forgeries by this kid because he killed himself before he.
So his forgeries are probably worth a lot now.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah. Suicide at the age of 17. Considered himself a failure.
let's take a brief suicide at 17 break. No, let's... Oh no. We're going to do that on the pop culture show. We're going to talk about 13 reasons why and one massive reason why not.
Yeah, I haven't even watched that because I heard it was, and mostly from you, how just, oh, fuck no.
Oh, it's great television, but but no, no one of a certain age should watch it. It's only safe for people our age to watch.
Just no,
yeah,
you're through
the
that.
actual age of the characters. Oh no, the moral message is, tune in and listen on. What the hell? Won't you please shut up?
Yeah, available on 10 places.
Can I see that? I haven't seen this list yet.
By all means.
Available on, looks like fucking Custbox?
A Castbox.
Custbox. Available on Custbox.
More like
Custbox. Google Podcasts. Radio Public. Spotify. Stitcher?
Ignore my typos that I make when I'm not even thinking.
And tune in. Don't forget to tune in.
There's a couple of others. There's a couple of others that are pending, and I hope we get them because that would make it a perfect 10. 10 places.
Yes, you should get on that, and you should get on your next note. Well, I definitely don't sneak off set to grab the bottle of wine.
I'm definitely not going to cut this out.
Keep going, Hoda.
Okay, here's where it gets tricky. So the protocols of the Elders of Zion.
Really? Here's where it gets just slightly tricky.
Just a little tricky.
Oh god, we just got on that 10th list we were talking about right away.
Back on that list.
Good god.
So, first published in 1903, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion was a fake flag, a false flag propaganda hate screed against the Jewish people, published by the Tsarist Russian government.
Is that where it came from?
Yes. Okay. So every now and then, the Tsarist government, and this is as government policy, would attack the Jews as a means to essentially let off a bunch of steam and also distract from their own domestic failures.
Scapegoating.
Yeah.
Thank God that doesn't happen anymore.
And this had a specific word. It was called pogrom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they would, and it was state
they burn
policy.
Out the shtetl. I know my words.
Yeah. And so they'd round them up in whichever district they decided to attack.
Don't knock a teapot.
Tradition.
Yiddish, fun for the whole, I don't remember family.
And they would either kill them, deport them, maybe send them to a different part of Russia. It depended on what their gains and means at the time were, what they wanted. If it was purely to distract from the fact that they the serfs and then later the farmers were still poor, still starving to death, then usually it'd just be a bit of violence.
Honestly, if England hadn't have industrialized as early as it did, it just would have happened there that way.
Oh,
Eventually,
absolutely.
Society gets too crowded and too resource poor, and then you got to pick someone who's the reason why everyone's unhappy.
Exactly. And to be fair, in Whitechapel...
Or you industrialize or have a big technological revolution and everyone is distracted.
Yeah. Well,
Good thing that doesn't happen anymore.
But that's the thing. Even in England, Whitechapel became completely crowded with not only the poor of England, like Anglo-Saxon Christians, but also the vast majority of underclass Jewish communities, the vast majority of Asian communities, and they got picked on relentlessly for decades. The very first theory about Jack the Ripper was that obviously, this is what was believed, obviously, it's a Jewish person. And that's what the police ran with. And it almost led to the lynching of a Jewish butcher who was known around the neighborhood as Leather Apron.
Well, that's not a great nickname.
No.
That's
he
not
was
that's
kind
not
of
a
an
like
ass.
warm and fuzzy nickname.
Yeah, and he was kind of an
Leather
ass.
apron. Like
So-
it's not leather face, but it doesn't inspire.
Yeah, and so he was almost lynched by a mob.
Or it's like leather apron. Like the apron doesn't inspire the leather in a way you're saying that, but the leather part does. Either way, I don't think he was ripping up anybody.
Yeah, no, all
Not
evidence
from the sounds of this
doesn't
story.
say that it was him. But that's this.
What with the absolutely no evidence part?
What with the absolutely no evidence?
That.
So not only is the Protocols of Elders of Zion like a fake document, it's claimed to be written by quote the Elders of Zion, but it's actually it's bullshit. It's COINTELPRO. But it's
it's all like. Not that I've read this, I just know about it.
Yeah.
But it's all like, oh, don't tell anyone our secret nonsense.
Here's
Eating
the whole
babies
plan.
and things, as we do. Like, yeah, no, it's...
But it's a plagiarization. The whole thing was cribbed from a completely unrelated source.
What do you mean?
In 1864, one moment. Okay. In 1864, a French writer and political satirist named Maurice Joly wrote Dialogues in Hell between Machiavelli and Montesquieu.
Okay.
Which was a conversation between the two thinkers about the rise and necessity or opposition to of dictatorial power by Napoleon III. It has nothing to do with Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
It is entirely about discussing the specific way that Napoleon III was a tyrant under the specific French political system of the, I believe, Third
Did they just
Republic?
change every reference? Did they just find it?
Yes.
Just clicked find and change?
Yes, that's
Napoleon III to I, Jewish elder.
exactly.
Oh my god.
That is exactly what happened.
Bad people can't even be creative.
No, exactly.
Bad people can't even be creative. Just plagiarize that shit. Just.
And here's the thing:
if you're gonna be awful, don't. Well, no. If you're gonna be awful, I guess be lazy. Like,
right?
Please, like, don't get industrious. Jesus Christ.
But Maurice Joly, aside from being tied through no fault of his own to this absolutely horrible thing,
oh, that's difficult.
also spent 18 months in prison for the original story. Because he did live in a dictatorship, and Napoleon III fucking arrested him.
Yeah, well, yeah. Of course he did.
Yeah.
You know, there's brave stands, and then there's like, of course he did.
Of course he did. What'd you expect?
You invented the term nom de plume, like, fuck's sakes, dude. Sign it Napoleon IV, I don't know, Napoleon Le Public, I don't care, just...
When he was in prison, they got a second printing, and it went 3 times the first.
And then, meanwhile, in Russia...
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Because there's a major, or there used to be a major French expat and diplomat community in Russia. In fact, Russian aristocrats spoke almost exclusively French, thinking that Russian was base. So...
Is that because Russian has no, like... Don't they have no tense and verb tenses?
No, it's less it's more simple than that. It's purely just aping Western European ideas about.
Oh no,
Russia.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
But I love like.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, no, it's purely just snobbery.
Like yesterday, I walked to the park. Today, I walked to the park. Tomorrow,
Today
I walk to the park.
What do you want? The park's still there.
That's great.
I eventually will get to
Park
the park.
is there tomorrow.
What
Yeah.
on park?
I walk to park when I feel like I want to walk to park.
But of course, someone in that community had a copy of this, and because they were very close to the aristocratic class, and all Russian intelligence came from the aristocrat class, they still adhered to that idea that like, intelligencers should always be your nobility, for reasons. We can get into that at some point.
That's an entirely different podcast.
Oh god, it's insane. But it was simply that someone probably shared the book, and someone looked at it and said, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to do with that?
What if we clicked find and replace?
And that's how you get Nazis.
Well, you took us on an educational journey after leading the conversation with the fucking protocols of the elders of Zion.
Yeah.
So.
Like at least when I set you up to fail, I don't actually let you fail.
No, I feel good about this segment. Ultimately, I feel like this was an actual interesting lesson learned by everyone, as opposed to we mentioned that and the payoff wasn't worth it. But welcome, special list listeners.
Speaking of payoff not being worth it,
available on Custbox.
Exactly. Also available on Custbox. Have you ever read A Million Little Pieces?
James Frey, no, but I mean, I know all the... all the schlemiel. All the nuts.
So, of course, James Frey wrote his quote-unquote memoir, and it was published in 2003, and it was found out, it was officially recognized as being, like, bullshit in 2008.
Yes, when Oprah had him on the show, and was like, how could you? How could you possibly? How could you betray me personally?
Oh my God.
You've wronged humanity.
You are the worst of us all. You are literally Hitler, sir.
Why do you allow yourself to continue to exist? Liar. Liar. Pants. Not yet on fire, but I did bring this lighter.
Shame.
Shame. You get a bell. And you get a bell. Look under your seats, audience. Shame bells for everyone.
Oh my God.
I would watch that.
Did you know when they got those cars, they had to pay the taxes on them?
Sure. That saves Oprah money if they're like, I can't. I'm actually in need. And they're like, well, you can't have a car then.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Can I sell it? No. Anyway, so...
Wait,
course,
you always can get cash or cash value is the thing.
No, because then you have to pay taxes on the cash value.
You can't pay taxes on the cash value with money from the actual cash value?
That's correct.
You gotta prepay it?
That's correct. Or, like, you have to prove it's a separate payment or something.
What?
Otherwise, technically, whoever's purchasing your bribe can also purchase the fee for your bribe.
That's so gross and incomprehensible.
It's tax law, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
Anyway, so, of course, James Frey is probably the most famous modern forger, because that was a major book. Everyone was reading it, or, like, it was on everyone's read list. Oprah at first promoted the fuck out of it, and then, of course, had that revenge episode where they just... a studio full of pissed off women, and this one guy...
Yeah, because any lessons that they learned from that book, or anything that they felt and took away from that book that touched them personally, is invalidated clearly by the fact that he fictionalized parts of it,
which is why it's still
misrepresented it.
Because the publisher says, well, you can still get a lot of good out of this.
Yeah,
even though it's completely fake. What they should have done is simply ran with it as fiction.
Well, I don't believe he gave them the option, though. I think
no,
it's totally me. It's my life. This stuff happened.
Exactly, and while the publisher claims it's not real now, he still goes like, well, I remember my past differently, and it's like you can't remember being incarcerated because you were never incarcerated. Yeah, you can't remember being an addict because you were never an addict.
Oh, that's such bullshit. Okay, I'm not even gonna devil's advocate for James Frey. I can't be arsed.
Last year, they finally got around to making the movie.
I remember hearing about this.
It starred the guy who was Kick-Ass and Quicksilver. I can't remember his name, and he's not been in much else. He's, like, really not the very best actor. And Billy Bob Thornton.
I thought you just referenced it. No, I can't even slag off Billy Bob Thornton.
Nah.
He might be a terrible person, but he can act.
No, it's true. But I think this was more of a
I can't even say he's a terrible person, because really I was just annoyed with him for that time he was a dick to Gian Gomeshi. And
but now it's completely valid.
Exactly, now in the clear light of day, I'm like,
I think it's less that he's a dick, and you just know, you intrinsically know he's dirty.
If a tree falls in the woods and Gian Gomeshi is super fucking creepy, is Billy Bob Thornton still an asshole?
Right. I mean, these are questions for philosophers.
I would applaud that, but I only have one hand.
How much do you think A Million Little Pieces the movie made?
$20. I'm an optimist.
Nothing.
See?
Nothing.
See?
Nothing.
See? I knew it. I knew I was right.
It officially made no money.
Did it officially lose money, or was it a shocking miracle where it just broke even?
It definitely lost money.
That's amazing.
Because they won't even release the budget figures.
That's great.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, was it the movie of the book, or was it the movie of that whole drama?
It was the movie of the book. If it was the movie of the drama...
Okay, I was going to say, if it was the movie of that whole drama, I would have been like, who's playing Oprah?
But that's a separate... Well, yeah, because of that, especially, but that's a separate rights issue. Just because you have the rights to publish the book doesn't mean you have the rights to publish the story behind the book.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, obviously, once you have the rights, and once you
who
pay
wants
millions...
to watch that? After all that? No. The dramatics of course.
Audiences on IMDb give it a 7.5, but Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 2.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
That's a disparity.
Yeah.
Not that doesn't happen, like.
But yeah, it definitely seems that like everyone
some critics
involved
like the
was
Virgin
just like,
Suicides. I, on the other hand, watched it.
Burn, but
the
seriously,
only time I've been mad for the waste of my time.
Film.
The only time I have felt like writing a sternly worded letter demanding my time back.
And like people don't like Marie Antoinette, but they'll watch that.
It's great.
And go, yeah, it's like no, Marie Antoinette's actually enjoyable.
Yeah.
Virgin Suicides is fuck.
Oh, it's fucking hot trash. I hate it. Oh, it makes me so mad.
So
Still, it's been 20 years, and I'm furious. This isn't even the pop culture show. We haven't even plugged the news show, and I'm still plugging the pop culture one, so I'm that mad. Fucking Sofia Coppola. Fuck.
Take it out.
Thank God you made that Japanese movie.
Yes, but take it out on Hitler.
Okay.
So yeah, we finish it out on a strong one with Hitler, because of course.
You gonna be on 11 lists? God.
Now here's the thing: Hitler wasn't the fake in this story. Hitler was OG real on this one.
All too OG real.
Yeah, it's everyone else that.
Oh
was
wait,
fake.
no. What's the G stand for? Because it can't be original German, because that's just no.
Original Dutch.
That's neither accurate
Original Dutch.
nor kind.
Yeah, no, that's a joke.
No.
Austrian prick.
The original Gestapo.
Did you know there is a very specific dark magic spell? I heard some lunatic Nazi talking about this.
Should have written it down and put it in the government prophecy book.
So there's a kind of root that grows and it kind of like takes the shape of a human. It tends to grow out in multiple tendrils, and like sometimes you get arms and legs, and so it looks like a person.
This sounds terrifying and awesome.
And it's believed that if you can resurrect Hitler, if you go and get... They're native to like the village that he was born in. So if you go to where the house he was born and find one of these roots, it's actually Hitler's soul.
That must be great for the current owners.
Yeah, I believe that the state owns it, and there's a fence
they would
around it.
have to.
Yeah.
It's not a museum, presumably.
No, there are none of the things that are
realistically.
Hitler-connected
It
are
should
museums.
that should be the only place that's a museum, and not in any way to glorify it as a place, but to show like, look at how normal this is.
Yeah, look how normal this is.
Look at just how humdrum every day this was.
Yeah.
You know what he did here? He painted. You know what he did after here? He exterminated a significant chunk of human beings.
Yeah. And exactly. And here's where he ate porridge.
Yeah.
Here's where he learned to read. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be a museum, but that should be the context at the end of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of just
this
like...
factoid about Hitler's early life. And then he murdered a ton of people and destroyed a civil society.
So don't tell me you can't.
You know, it was... large chunks of it were civil and cool.
Yeah. Well,
large chunks of it were uncivil and uncool.
70 million people dead in the war he started. So, yeah.
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 Net influence on humanity?
Just,
negative.
Bad.
Yeah.
I believe that the Jewish population still hasn't actually rebounded.
I thought you were going to say forgiven him, and I was like, dude.
Unless you're Prime Minister of Israel? Because he was saying, like, he was complimenting Hitler. No, he wasn't complimenting him. He was essentially, like, explaining away the Holocaust. And it's like, what? You're the leader of Israel!
What?
Stop it!
I'm going to need to see the video on this.
Stop it!
That's fucked.
Yeah. Anyway. So, 1983.
I'm surprised the Prime Minister of Israel would ever actually like say the name.
Oh,
You'd think they'd be like their Voldemort, where they're just like
right?
They don't say it.
Like just be a little like more suspicious of it. Maybe just say oranges, huh? Wink, wink. Oranges.
You're gonna demonize oranges that much.
Oranges.
That's great.
So the Hitler Diaries. Have you ever heard of the Hitler Diaries?
Is that a Netflix project?
No, it's like the Diaries of Adolf Hitler.
No.
So the Hitler Diaries was one of the greatest forgeries of the 20th century. It was over 60 volumes.
Who has the time?
Created between 1981 and 1983.
Unless there's like 60 people writing it.
One man.
Oh my god, who's the time?
Konrad Kujau. Konrad was an East German criminal who sold Nazi memorabilia. And at some point he discovered...
Was that the crime, presumably?
No.
Really? Because I would think in the East... or in the West, really.
It was illegal, but it was the lesser of what he was doing.
Oh, it was the lesser of two crimes.
Yeah.
At least, minimum.
So he discovered that if he said that, say, this knife, this Nazi regalia knife, he could make more money if he claimed that it came from a high-ranking official, or it had a certain story. Oh, this knife came back from Stalingrad or something.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, in the 70s, he started writing personal diaries and journals and selling those, just outright fakes.
Okay, I get where this is going, but here's the moral dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, guaranteed he's defrauding Nazi enthusiasts.
This is correct.
Meh.
Yeah.
Meh. That's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's an entrepreneur.
That's entrepreneurial moxie.
Just wait until you see his target. Because, this is a guy who went for the gold.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Was it stripped out of people's teeth?
No. Jesus Christ. He convinced the magazine Stern to give him 9.3 million Deutschmarks.
Sounds like a good chunk of change.
It's a good chunk. It's $3.7 million, and this was 1983.
Okay.
Yeah. So, pretty fucking successful.
I could have bought a Trump for that back then.
Right? They turned around and they had it verified. They said that it was real. The whole 60 volumes, all real. And to get back some of the money that they just spent, they intended to serialize it out through a couple of issues. And they had actually started doing that. And they sold the serialization to other countries' papers. And so the Sunday Times actually ran these. They confirmed the
Why would you run those?
Yeah, they confirmed them themselves and then ran them.
As an educational thing? Like,
yeah.
Sure, but an educational thing of that magnitude does not happen in the daily paper.
Oh, yeah.
That is not the forum.
Well, no, the Sunday Times is kind of the big opinion and literary and analysis.
Oh, I'm Canadian. We don't have those.
And the funny thing is, it's owned by Rupert Murdoch. But this is like early 80s Murdoch, where he still pretended to give a shit.
Okay.
Yeah. He took over literally everything.
There's the 12th list.
So everything was set, confirmed. Millions of dollars was spent on this. The Sunday Times gave a press conference to announce the series, and their historian that they hired and who had confirmed it previously during the press conference stood up and said, "I think they're fake."
I love this story so much. I was like, what idiot historian? And it's like, no, clearly the world's biggest idiot historian.
Oh, yeah. And
with no couth.
And he was just like, we're coming to the conclusion that they maybe actually be fake.
You told them now.
At the press conference to announce them as being a selling point. So, of course, the controversy fed the sales of it. And everyone wanted to read these things. It was eventually tracked down that they were fake. Mm-hmm. And they found the guy because he was... the Stern was very aware of who they purchased it from. Like, they thought it was a legitimate purchase. Because they knew
it just
who
looks
they bought
like
from.
Stern, doesn't it?
Stern. Stern. But
yeah,
I know how to pronounce... Yeah.
But I love that.
Stern.
What are you reading? Stern.
Very serious magazine.
What are you reading, Grimace?
It's all about...
It's just purple.
Yeah! It smells like chicken nuggets.
Ew.
Anyway, because the guy had like a known history of selling actual Nazi memorabilia, that's why they took him seriously. So because he was a criminal, they took him seriously.
That's fantastic.
Anyway, it keeps going. Because the journalist who discovered the diaries, i.e. his mark,
his Deutschmark?
His Deutschmark. It was a journalist by the name of Gerd Heidemann. Gerd Heidemann worked for Stern, and Stern put Gerd Heidemann in charge of purchasing them from him, and all that money. So, Kujau got 1.7 Deutschmarks of the 9 Deutschmarks. 9 million Deutschmarks. The rest went to Gerard Heidemann.
Amazing.
He stole from both his employer.
That's great.
And the counterfeiter.
Did he get away with it?
No. In the end, they both got 4 years. They were both sentenced to 4 years, give or take, of prison. They served about 2 each. Mm-hmm. Here's the fun thing: it was proven that Heidemann got 1.5 million Deutschmarks. There are 5 million Deutschmarks still missing from this entire thing.
I don't think they're missing from everyone involved in this entire thing. That's fantastic.
It continues.
Oh, God. Is this our last story? It has to be, because nothing can beat this.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's too much.
Thank God. I was like, I got to stop getting excited here.
The 2 editors of Stern who verified and printed it were, of course, fired.
Yeah.
But they sued Stern for firing them, and they both won settlements.
Fuck off! How?
3 million Deutschmarks each, truly coming out on top of this whole thing.
Oh, how?
Because the magazine verified them, and why wouldn't they publish them? They would have been fired if they didn't publish them.
You know what? I suppose, like, if your historian is telling you, like,
yeah. Yeah.
That's actually a pretty easy place to pass the buck from.
Everyone
in that way.
Magazine.
But at the same time, you're the editor.
Yeah, yeah.
But I guess if you're the editor, you have to rely on expert resources. And if your expert resource is pocketing a cool however many million Deutschmarks. Jesus.
Speaking of pocketing a cool however many
Stern in German clearly just means bad luck. That's why it's got that stern face on.
It never really picked up its popularity or veracity as it, people.
Of course
people
not. It's called
never
Stern.
trusted it again.
People want to read Jolly. I guarantee there's like a Jolie in France. That's gonna be.
You mean the guy who wrote the book?
That's got to be their marketing clip. That's got to be their marketing clip now.
It all ties back.
Why read Stern when you should read Jolie?
There is one more detail to this ridiculous story.
By all means.
So the editor of the Sunday Times, who of course, at the press conference, he was present when this whole thing, this whole fucking storm set off. He was
throttled the historian.
No, Rupert Murdoch himself named him editor emeritus. And when he asked what editor emeritus means, Rupert Murdoch said, quote, "The E means out," or it's Latin. "The E means out. Meritus means you deserved it."
That's hilarious.
And that's our episode of Tales from the Gutter.
This is an innocent plug, but this is a good show. I'm enjoying this one.
This is actually our most popular show. A lot of people listen to Industry's Doom. A lot of people listen to Please Won't You Shut Up. Because we're on YouTube now, we get a lot more responses. And people very much like us. They wish that the other shows... Yeah, we are. They wish that the other shows were a little more structured. And we'll get there, because this is a very structured show.
That's fair.
This one's very popular, and I love doing this show. I love researching.
This is a good show.
Nonsense.
I enjoy researching too, so I'm gonna actually have to yeah.
Because we're 3 episodes in, and I've done it all.
Some of us work 147-hour weeks, Mikki. Fuck off.
Thank you so much for listening. You've listened to us on Okay, here it comes. iTunes, Audio Boom, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and on YouTube. Thank you. I've been Mikki.
Oh, I'm Blake, but I was just annoyed you forgot Cussbox.
Cussbox. Love us on Cussbox. Goodbye.
Love us on all your boxes, really. Custy or not.